Hello, welcome to Whole Health Longevity Channel. Very happy that you've stopped by. I am the Italian nutritionist, as I call myself. Most importantly, the person that has been looking for the holy grail of longevity for a couple of decades now. Put myself onto a research trip in November of 2019 and traveled with a research scientist for a week in the blue zone of Sardinia. So the goal of my channel is to provide credible information right from the source, and information that is also useful for you that you can integrate into your life and your lifestyle. So this is part of a series that I'm doing on longevity, and it developed out of an hour-long masterclass that I did last week, which had so much information. It was very well attended and had good reviews, but there's so much information. I decided to put it into smaller little snippets like this one, and to take each component of longevity so that it's not just a lot of overwhelming information and that it's useful. My goal is never to just present fluff, because you know what fluff is and I know what fluff is, and I want this to be useful information. So the first in the series was about movement and how the centenarians, people that live to be 100 and beyond, how they move every day consistently, and ways that we can make that happen in our lives. Another big component, it's not the only component, but it's a big one, is nutrition. And that was what I wanted to know when I visited the Blue Zone in 2019. I got off the plane and I was on a quest to find out, what are these people eating? Because it must be something very, very special or very different in order for them to have experiencing this amazing health that they can experience in their lifetimes. I learned it's much more than nutrition, but nutrition is huge, and what they eat, and maybe more importantly, what they do not eat, is so important to their health benefits. So one of the days during the week of research, I visited a family farm. I call it a farm. They call it a huge garden where people in the countryside can go and purchase their produce. And we literally picked our lunch. So we went out into the field and we picked fresh vegetables. We picked fresh lettuce. The research scientist I was with picked a couple of eggs right out from under a couple of chickens that were laying eggs. We picked some fresh pomegranates because it was fall, and that is the season for pomegranates, which, by the way, are one of the highest antioxidant-laden foods that we can be eating. And we only get them at a certain time of the year. There is a season for them. And I think that was everything that we picked. And then we went back and we made an extraordinary lunch with those foods. Those foods were grown on organic soil that had never been sprayed. They were fresh, obviously, right out of the ground, and very nourishing, very delicious and very nourishing. So what I was told by the owners of this garden is that all of their seeds are ancient seeds. They're heirloom seeds for what they're growing, and they don't like fruit and vegetables that look perfect because they're concerned that maybe that's hybridized or has been dealt with GMO. And so, if a piece of fruit or a vegetable has something on it, or if it's in an odd shape, that's the type of food that they really prefer. So this Blue Zone of Sardinia was a place where we ate food that was not processed. It was very fresh. It was right out of the ground. And as I mentioned, delicious and nourishing. So that's a wonderful example of how to eat if you're lucky enough to be eating like that. But obviously, I had to get on a plane after the week and come back to the United States and then take a look at what we have here and what we can do to emulate and to get the most out of the food that we have. One thing that I recommend is to buy fruits and vegetables that are frozen that you can keep in your freezer and use as needed. And these frozen fruits and vegetables many times can be purchased as organic, not sprayed. And when you buy them frozen, you're actually buying foods that were at their peak of freshness and then flash frozen, and use them as needed, so that avoids a lot of waste with food. So that is one thing that I really recommend that we do. The other thing is, and I'm going to put a link to it in the description underneath this video, is to have a checklist. So I've developed a checklist that you can use, take with you to the grocery store, and use the checklist when you're purchasing foods. And I could guarantee you about at least 75% of the time, you're going to be buying foods and using foods that are nourishing and delicious and pretty fresh. So I have the checklist in front of me. I'm going to go through it quickly with you. And then, like I said, there will be a link to it so that you can download it, take it with you as well. So the first question is, the first thing to check off is this food anti-inflammatory? Does it help reduce inflammation, which we all get just because of environmental factors and stress and so forth? So what are anti-inflammation foods? They are foods that have color. So if you're buying something that's red or orange or yellow or purple or green, it has antioxidants that are going to be very helpful for us. I won't go into how the plant gets antioxidants, but they do. And if we eat the plant, we too will derive those benefits. So secondly, does the food choice contain fiber? Is it whole grain intact? It's not ground up flour that is so pulverized that there's no fiber at all. Are they oats? Is it a whole grain? Is it a bean or a legume? Because all of these foods have fiber. And the foods in the blue zones have a lot of fiber. They're used in soups, and they're used in many, many different ways. And I'll put another link to recipes as well. So does the food contain any water? If there's no water in the food, it's probably processed food. It's probably in a box. And that has been processed where nutrients are usually 99% are gone. And then there are other things put in that food. Water's gone, fiber's gone. So check off and just ask yourself, does this food have water? Fruits and vegetables do, that's for sure. Is the food choice a fruit? If it's a fruit, is it a berry? Berries have skin, they have fiber. And so when you digest a berry, the natural sugars digest at a much more even time frame, so that you're not getting a spike of sugar from fruit. So berries are very good. Is it a vegetable? Is it a bean? Is it a legume? Ask yourself these questions. Take the checklist with you, and if the majority of your foods you can check off most of these attributes that are good and healthful for you, you will be eating a very, very good nutritious diet. So that's part of what people do in the blue zone. They don't need to go to the store with a checklist, but these are the type of foods that they eat, and we can be doing the same. So if you like this information and you would like more, please do subscribe so that I can continue to send more information about these components of Blue Zones living in a way, in the short enough videos where you can pick up these tips and hacks and make them yours. Thank you for stopping by.